One of the grittiest comedies to ever grace television screens over the past 15 years, Shameless has done an excellent job of creating a diverse and realistic cast full of relatable characters to warm our hearts, and to also remind most of us as to just how lucky we all are to not be anything like the Gallaghers. Well, did you know that the Gallaghers might be based on a real family? In today's video, we're going to be diving into the real-life family that may or may not have spawned the titular family. So stick around, because you're not going to want to miss a second of this video. First up, the Gallaghers in real life. I'm sure most of you watching this video have tuned into an episode or two of Shameless, and I'm sure that the show has made you go, hey, I know somebody like that. Whether the somebody in your life reminds you of Fiona or Ian or, God forbid, Frank, we all know somebody in a regular life that would do a probably toned-down version of something that happens on the show. Well, this leads us to ask the question, are the Gallaghers based on a real-life family? Believe it or not, the answer is bound to surprise you, because the answer is yes and no. The Gallaghers themselves are not based on a direct family unit. As disappointing as that might be for some fans of the show, we should probably consider ourselves lucky that there's not a family that commits such heinous acts on a regular basis. But unfortunately, there are people who do the things we see in the show. That's right, each individual character is based on people that do exist in real life, but they're just regular everyday people, taken to the extreme. I mean, who doesn't have a parent or parental figure who's willing to take things to the extreme over the simplest things? Who doesn't have a sister or daughter that will take care of the entire situation when the house is burning because something stupid happened? Who doesn't have a brother or cousin that is just a little different from everyone else? Exactly. The Gallaghers may not be based on an exact copy and paste family, but each individual character is based on some real-life person, somewhere that the writers of the show have known in their life. Why would we believe that the Gallaghers are based on a real family? The theory that the family on Shameless is based on a real family is not new. In fact, this theory has been floating around the internet for quite some time now, since the show has gained so much mainstream popularity. So why did it take so long for the answer to finally come out? Well, I think it was because the writers of the show wanted viewers to believe that these people and these events were real, and that this ridiculousness and these tragedies are some actual life. This does two things. One, it makes the craziness a little more real, and a little funnier, but it also makes the viewer grateful for what they have, and that as crazy as their life may be, there's always worse. If the viewers believe that the episodes were actually retellings of a real-life event, it may allow the viewer to be more thankful for the things they do have in their life. And it also shows that even in a crazy situation, most things work out in the end, and that family will always be there for you. Honestly, I never thought I would be describing Shameless and saying these sorts of things, but they're true. The show really does have a deeper meaning underneath the comedy and the craziness, and I think that's why both versions of the show have such a special place in the viewers' hearts. Oh, you don't know that there are two versions of Shameless? Well, let me enlighten you. Next, we look into the two versions of the same show. Much like The Office, Shameless has two versions of its show: the original UK version and the US version. Now, unlike The Office, whose UK version was cut much shorter than the much more popular American version, the UK version of Shameless ran for 11 seasons from 2004 until 2013. This version of the show featured all the same main characters, but the storylines were unimaginably different, with only the first episodes of both shows being similar to each other. And when I say similar, I mean an almost identical shot-for-shot remake of the pilot episode for the American version, which did not debut until 2011, when the original show was almost over. Unfortunately for fans, the American version has also recently aired its last episode, and it appears that we will never see the Gallaghers hit the screen or each other ever again. Fans are still hoping for a revival or a spin-off series, but as of right now, we have no details or rumors to stand on. It seems as though the explosive ending we got will be the finale that stands. This is not all bad news, however, as this finale was a fantastic send-off for the hilariously dysfunctional family we know and love. Now let's talk about the end of an era. For those of you who haven't seen the finale yet, first off, what are you doing? Go watch it. But secondly, there will be spoilers ahead for the final episode, so watch with caution from here on out. The finale begins with a drug overdose from our favorite deadbeat dad, Frank Gallagher. Frank is immediately rushed to the hospital, where it is revealed that Frank not only overdosed, but he also is suffering from COVID-19. While suffering with all sorts of COVID symptoms, Frank begins to hallucinate and begins to see himself as his daughter Fiona, who left the show following season 9. Frank then begins to see himself back at the old watering hole, Alibi, and then he begins to levitate. As Frank ascends to the sky, it is left to the viewer to assume that his years of drug and alcohol abuse, along with complications due to COVID-19, had finally gotten the best of Frank Gallagher. And though the moment is supposed to be sad, which it is, the show does not fail to send the viewer off with one final laugh. During Frank's funeral, a very touching note written by Frank is read aloud by his family, and what was seemingly Frank's last gift to his family, which was actually something nice and thoughtful. However, it is later seen that Frank's real last gift to his family was not so nice, as Frank's body explodes while in the cremation chamber due to the alcohol remaining in his system. It's a hilarious gag that only Shameless could provide, and served as an excellent send-off for the Gallaghers. Why this was the finale the show needed. Before the finale aired, it was speculated that all of the family members were going to make it out of the show alive, which is a fair assumption when discussing a comedy show. However, this is not your average comedy show, and this was not your average finale. If you ask me, when a show is dealing with topics such as drug and alcohol abuse, I think the only ending that makes sense is a bad one, because realistically, years of drug and alcohol abuse are never going to be good for a person's health. If Frank had overdosed and then survived, it potentially sends the message that years of drugs and alcohol could result in a long and happy life, which is simply not true. The unfortunate reality is that the abuse of drugs and alcohol will eventually lead to the person's death, and I think it's a good thing that the show explained in great detail over 11 seasons that while there may be good times in Frank's life, all of those times are fleeting and only satisfying for a limited amount of time, and no matter how high the high is, there's always going to be a large crash to follow. It also showed that a life like Frank's is simply unsustainable and is overall damaging to the person and the people around them. Much like the finale of another famous show, Breaking Bad, showcased that although Walter White made a great deal of money while involved in the meth game, it eventually killed him because that lifestyle will always lead to a short life for everyone involved. Whoever said that Shameless never taught them anything good clearly did not see the finale. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching today's video. What did you think of Shameless? Did you watch the American version of the show or the UK version of the show? Which one do you think is better? Did you think the Gallaghers were based on a real family? Let us know what you have to say in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. It's free to you, only takes a few seconds, and it goes a long way in helping the channel. Thank you again so much, and we'll see you in the next video.